And welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of The Seekers, where nothing's on fire and we're totally fine. That being said, Kai is in fact a statue. You guys can watch her glory as she stands there perfectly still taking a great selfie. We're also here with Johnny, aka Video Store Cowboy, Sam, aka The Wizened Fool, and Keith from Material Components. And with that, if you guys want to support the channel, I know we've been absent for a little bit, but if you guys want to support the channel and show us some love, please by all means go check out our Patreon. That's the best way to do so. We're going to be retrofitting that soon because it's just not doing what I want it to do. And also come hang out with us in the Discord. With that, we will turn things over to Johnny, who will take us into the world that we're going to blow up. That's it.
Look, just because you got this okay, so let's be clear. Between last episode and this episode, there was a milestone event. The players have been able to level up their characters to essentially tier 2 in the Numenera or Cypher system. So
I have fire arrows.
Yeah, exactly. You just got fire arrows. You just got corruption arrows. All right. You just put your pinky up like that, bitch. All right, it's fine. All right. Let's get started because I need to get into this so I can kill you.
Perfect.
All right. Previously on The Seekers, the bandit camp that the group was searching for had turned out to be a fort against a mountainside. The fort itself was made of heavy timber, well constructed and heavily guarded. There did not appear to be a way to sneak inside, as every direction had eyes of a guard on its parapet. As the group had arrived, a raiding party of bandits were returning, and they had one prisoner, a child. And to the west, there was a storm brewing. Undaunted by the circumstances, Tejak modified Krona's focus so that they could have two-way communication. And then they split the party. Tejak and Tues would use the old one's tech to disguise themselves and sneak to the backside of the fort. Their goal? Light the outer wall of timber on fire to cause chaos inside. Krona and Feyre had a different task: bluff their way through the front door and discover the location of the child. While things were going incredibly well, it took a little longer than expected, and the impending storm was almost upon them. When the fire slowly caused an alarm in the fort, while the fire slowly caused an alarm in the fort, Feyre was able to locate and release the children that she found so that they could follow her. As the fire continued to grow, the group was able to make their way back to the entrance. They almost escaped to safety, but then a new alarm went up. There was a stampede of machines heading toward the fort, and the group was in its trajectory of destruction as we fade in. So if I remember correctly, somebody placed a sort of like aimed punch in the jaw of one guard at the front entrance of this fort, just as he went, "Machines!" and pointed in the opposite direction. To which all of you turned around and saw a stampede of machines containing what appears to be watchers, scrappers, sawtooths, and something else in the back, looming larger, and sort of like ambling forward at a speed that's almost matching the rest of the group, but you can't quite tell. They look like the following. So if you're looking at the game table, you can now see what's known as a bellowback.
Oh, no.
That looks like it's going to spit acid for sure.
What's the butt and what's the front?
It's acid.
Do you see the tail and where the legs are?
No, which one's the tail? The low one on the left or the high one on the right? They look the same.
Where's
the eyes?
I'm pinging the butt.
Oh, the blue things are the eyes. Okay. I was like, man, what is this thing? Christ. Dude's rough.
Seriously. All right. Okay. So before initiative starts, because they're at quite a distance. Do you guys want to have a reaction? Do you want to do something? Is there some witty conversation you want to have?
Okay, so they're at a distance. How far away? Like, how many minutes until they get to us?
I don't think we're talking minutes, but
we're talking matter of seconds. Cool. And when I'm saying matter of seconds, I would say that they are probably under an eighth of a mile away, and they appear to be moving very fast. And they are definitely kicking up a fair bit of dust and foliage around them. And the wind is just sort of sweeping across like the plain in front of you between you and the grove that you all came from, which is where they're coming through.
Got it.
Are we all together?
We are not all together.
Cool. I'm going to take a recovery action.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
And we already got the benefits of the level up, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. So at this moment, basically, as I explained to you guys privately last week, what happens here, this is an oh shit moment that pushes you to the limit and then takes you to the next level of your skill set. So it's like under duress, under stress, a lot of adrenaline pumping through your system. You just basically have this new sort of like level of like depth to you. So.
Okay. And we're outside the gates, right?
You are just outside the gates, standing in front of it, essentially, because you just punched out the one lone guard there.
Right. That's that.
Does that make sense?
Mistakes were made, Johnny.
Were they?
Kinda.
Really? What kind of mistakes were made? I'm very curious before we get into like the meat of this. I mean, and
I may
I'm
not have knocked the guy out. Knocked him out. I killed the guy.
You did kill the guy. He went down with lots of like fun punches.
That's different from no other time, though.
Anyway, I think what I want to do is I want to just snatch up Tajak and try to dash inside the gate and slam it closed before to like brace it against these machines and to like put some mechanics behind that. I'm hoping to show off my new move here.
Okay.
Which is called Impressive Display. I can perform a feat of strength, speed, or combat, impressing those nearby. And for the next minute, I gain an asset in all interaction tasks with people who saw that. So basically, I'm imagining like it's snatching up Tajak and then running in and just like slamming the door closed, like these like big heavy doors. He just slams them closed in one smooth motion, and begins shouting, "Machines!" And now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but because this is a strength-based task, and the cost is from my might pool, and I have edge 2 for might, that costs me nothing, right? That's what I thought. Cool.
The one weird thing is it is cumulative. So if you spend 2 edge in might, it's a total of 5. Or sorry, if you spend 2 effort in might, it's a total of 5, and your edge knocks it off by 2, making it a total of 3. It's not like you spend 2 edge and then another 3 edge. It's a whole thing.
No, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I just want to make sure because I'm pretty sure that I basically gave Taz some upgrades so that I can essentially spend effort on every single attack from now on. And just like basically stack effort. And so I'm excited to try to make that work. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. So the doors, so I want you to narrate us through this because the sort of the way that the fort sort of like bracing is it's 2 doors that kind of swing back in. And they basically just have the clearance to kind of do that and seal. And so narrate us through as there is chaos going inside of the fort because there's a fire towards the back and you can smell the fire. You can't actually see it, but you can smell it. But there's also a number of like, there's like a lot of commotion going on in this sort of front outer ring of this place.
Yeah.
So narrate us through that.
So like Tez just like, he's carrying, Tajak, right? So he's just in the darkness of the storm. It's just like kind of this like shrouded figure carrying a light, a heavy light that's like kind of swinging back and forth, almost like a big heavy lantern. And he just charges in, shouting about machines coming. And then he like turns and like grabs both sides of the door and just like hauls it closed. You see sort of the veins bulging out. He's probably like, he's not like I've described before. He's very large, but he's not particularly like tall or wide. He's got like a kind of like a stocky build. So he's probably like barely got the wingspan to like grab these doors when they're all the way pulled out. So like, it really is hard for him to get it started. But once he's able to get it started, he's able to just slam them closed. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. So as you do, another individual, another bandit, kind of runs up right next to you, and at first you're afraid because you're caught off guard for just a second, and you're ready to punch him, you make a move and just kind of as it kind of shocks you, but he runs up and just immediately slams some sort of brace behind the sort of the gate themselves, and the next thing you know, there's more, bandits kind of moving up and just trying to place things sort of in front of the doors of the gate at this particular point. And it's as this commotion is happening and you're kind of stepping back as they're starting to brace it, that you and Tajak actually see Krona and Feyre, kind of running up with a couple of kids. And just as that's sort of happening, and you can see that there's more people coming up behind both of them, bringing stuff to brace. One of them actually runs past Feyre with a huge sort of piece of lumber on his shoulder, and he moves in the wrong way and hits her in the back of the head and knocks her out. And thus we explain why Kaya's not here this week.
That's healing word. Really bad for you.
You cast healing word. What a dick! I swear to God. Oh my God.
I can't do that.
Krona stumbles to the ground next to Feyre and drops the jug of ale that he had taken from the Cessna, the bandit lord, and just like clutches Feyre and is like, "Oh no, Feyre!"
Yeah, she is knocked out cold. You can see that there is a pretty bad knock on her head, and there is a knot beginning to form on the backside of her head. But she's completely out.
Are there like parapets? Can we like get on like some kind of ramparts situation here?
There are parapets as described, and what you would need to do is you need to run over to one of the sides where there's like a ladder, and you would need to climb the ladder. It's not like a really ornately built place. It doesn't have stairways, but it's got ladders that lead you up to the parapet. And you can see that there are definitely more bandits that are kind of running up and grabbing for like sheaths of arrows and other things to kind of take up with them. And there's a line of like people like loading up supplies and stuff as they prepare for the attack.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, Tajak is going to move surprisingly quickly and probably not say anything. And you just see like a stream of like the ribbons coming out and the cables coming from his hat as he makes his way running towards the ladder.
Okay.
I think Kaz is 100% positive that this wooden gate is not going to hold back this charge of metal monstrosity. So I think he is going to start just like grabbing and like pulling people to like essentially like make like a line to basically like be ready for when they like punch through the door. Essentially, he's trying to like get like a ground party ready for when this this door gets just blown off the hinges.
So do you say something or do you just start grabbing people and
no that's yeah so he like finishes slamming the door. He's like sees people running. He just like grabs like the nearest bandit by the shoulder and like spins him around. He's like, this thing's not gonna hold. I need you to get people in a line. Everyone get in a line. And he just starts shouting, and I think like he's able to he's been on battlefields many times. He's been in these sort of situations. I think he projects his voice with sort of an air of command, and it kind of booms across the field in a way that we haven't heard before when we've heard him sort of in this low gravelly tone. And yeah, he's trying to get everyone's attention and get the people. Maybe he's like, anyone who's not good with a bow, get down here. Grab a shield, grab wood, grab whatever you can. He swings the big round shield off of his back. And now I'm realizing he should have a Boromir horn. I don't know why I didn't do that. I should have given him one way back. That way.
So we're gonna retcon that, and you're definitely gonna get one. So
yeah, so he pulls out the horn that he totally had for all of these 7 episodes that we've been playing.
Yeah, I remember that.
A constant reference. Everyone in the audience will remember the classic Teus horn that he pulls out.
Used it multiple times.
I think though, because there aren't a lot of actual animals running around, right? So I think it's this sort of weird metal and wood contraption. And so when he blows it, instead of the sort of normal staghorn tone that you might be used to, it's kind of got this weird metallic. It's almost more trumpety.
okay, all right. And so when you blow this, I need you to make a roll.
Awesome.
And you definitely get that asset from that impressive display. The difficulty is going to be was originally going to be 3 because you're trying to organize these bandits and they're difficulty 3. So that's immediately going to drop it down to 2. Is there anything else that you can add to this that basically just...
I don't think so.
Unless your buddy, Krona could actually do something that might help you too or whatever.
Is Krona out here yet? I don't know that
he's right in front of you and next to Farah. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over that. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm helping. I'm trying to get Farah up on my back, and I'm keeping these kids nearby and everything. So I don't see my character helping.
Let me just double check that I don't have anything. A 2 is still okay. I'm guessing this is intellect, which is not great for me, but that's okay. Intellect, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Let's do it. Let's see how I do. Difficulty 2. I don't want to do effort to roll. Hey, there we go. I'll take it.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And so as you make the call, and you start to organize everybody, and then your horn blares. All eyes turn to you that are not immediately doing something else, and look to you for their orders as you begin to kind of navigate all of that. And so as that's happening, and as Tajak is doing what he's doing, let's go ahead and go back to Krona.
Yeah, Krona is pulling Farah onto his back, with her arms over his shoulders, and is talking to the kids and is saying, "Children, do not panic. Gather round for a tale of children who escape unscathed through great sneakiness, quietness. It is a tale told among the Utaru tribe." And I'm using anecdote on these kids and training them in stealth and I'm hefting her as I'm telling this story, and I'm repeatedly stopping and saying, no, this way. Hey, you, no, over here. And getting them to follow me towards Tajak and this ladder. And I'm having them all go up the ladder first.
Okay. And so the kids at first are all starting to panic as there's a lot going around, but these kids have seen a little bit more and have dealt with a little bit more in this situation. And at first their panic, overwhelms them. But as you're telling them the story and inspiring them and just kind of, giving them this little antidote, can't say that word right now. So I'm just going to say that little story. They follow Tajak up. And so we're going to cut to Tajak.
Tajak is confused why there's children near him. But he is pacing on these makeshift parapets, right? As he's clearly looking for something, but he's not looking at the creatures that are, impending death. He's looking at the structure of the wall, and he finally finds more or less what he's looking. You see him looking at the different pieces, and he touches a piece of the wall, and he touches one of the poles, and then you see him stop, kind of nod the mushroom cap, and he reaches in and pulls out the bow. It snaps out, and then he takes the bow and grabs it by the tips, the ends of the bow, and you see him turn it sideways and jam it and wrench it between 2 wooden posts, and then he steps back for a second, and you see that it's kind of stuck there, and he grabs an arrow and he puts it in the thing, and you see him just lean backwards on the arrow. So like the head of the arrow is barely touching the bow. And I'm going to attempt to fire on these things. As soon as they get in range, I'm going to fire on these things.
The way you described that at first, I thought you were going to do something else, and I'm like, what are you, a master builder from Lego movie?
Nope.
Are you like, it seemed like you were looking at all the parts and trying to put it all together.
No, I don't. If you've seen him use the bow before, he like sticks one end of the ground and holds it and fires it. It's a huge bow, right?
Totally.
But this time he's using it like a ballista, so that he can just kind of fire it at these things.
Okay, and so are you using any of your special arrows that you might have crafted?
Kind of. I'm not using one of my new special arrows because I haven't had the time to craft them, but I am. You see him like grab an arrow, and you see him like twist the head of the arrow, and then when he places it on there, and I'm using an ability called Disable Machine. At a cost of 3 intellect points, I may destroy or disable a level 3 or lower machine upon touch.
Level 3 or lower?
Yeah. With a few deft touches, you infuse a powered device of level 3 or lower with conflicting instructions. If affected, the device is destroyed or disabled for at least 1 minute, depending on its size or complexity. So I'm aiming for like a watcher. I will basically want this arrow to hit the watcher, and then and it like fizzles out.
Okay. So as you're taking aim and you're doing all of this, you can see that the range of creatures that are in the front are the watchers and the sort of the scrappers, and the sawtooths, of course, are moving in the back, and of course the bellowbacks. And so you're able to take an easy aim at a watcher. And do you need to roll for this, or is this just something that happens?
I need to roll to hit with the arrow, because normally I can touch the creature and do that, but I'm not anywhere near touch, so I'm gonna attempt to hit this thing. I think the watchers are level 3, right?
Yes, the watchers are level 3.
So I have 1 asset for my focus. And I succeed. I rolled a 15. Yeah, so I succeed. So I basically wrench this thing in, and children and soldiers or children and bandits are swarming around. And you just see him like lay the thing on top of it and then pull back and then just let go. And then he grabs. Oh, that was almost dangerous. And he slides back forward onto the thing as the arrow just like looses, and you see this like bloop, bloop, bloop of blue light as it spins through the sky towards one of the watchers in the back, and then it just like, and you see it kind of collapse and skid to a dusty halt.
Okay, and so as that happens, and as you're pulling back, you see the rest of the sort of the group on the parapet, kind of step back and trying to figure out what and really, starting to complain about taking up so much room on the parapet. And then you loose the arrow, and everyone sort of just turns, including the children, and they watch the arrow fly. And as it lands and disables that watcher, they all kind of turn back at you and give you as much space as you absolutely need as they start to do their own thing as we cut to Tues.
Why, thank you.
All right, so are they crashing into the walls here, or do we...
They're very close. They're not. It's not close enough for initiative yet, but they're very close.
Okay. I'm wondering. I may not have like a whole lot more to do now that I've got these guys into position. Because I'm in front of there's no like gaps. It's not like a like gated type deal. It's just like wooden doors, correct?
It's essentially just a rudimentary gate that is being braced.
Right.
It is not something like reinforced, like at the Rohan or anything else. Like you've got like the big ornate doors that are being, or a Helm's Deep or that kind of a thing. It's very much just sort of a rudimentary sort of thing to keep things closed at night, kind of a thing.
Yeah. In that case, I think what he does is like he like plants his shield in like the slightly softened dirt from the rain, and he's just gonna like set up like one. He's gonna like set up like not like pull it back because this isn't a movie. You don't hold the draw on your arrow. But he's gonna basically make it so that he can just get like one pot shot off, like when the first one like punches through the gate. Before just like abandoning the bow and helping on the ground here. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. And that's it?
Yep.
Okay.
I got.
All right. And then we're going to cut to Krona, who is just following the children up to the top as you see Tejak just do his thing.
Tejak, friend, we need not stay here and defend these bandits. I fear that might be foolery. I'm taking these children and Feyre and fleeing this place.
Yes, but where are you going to flee? The rear entry is on fire and also a cliff face. The fore entry is, well, that.
Surely I could throw one of these ladders or a rope down the side and flee into the foliage where they wouldn't see us.
Yes, but if we stay here and make noise, it is far easier for you to escape.
Perfect. I hand you the I take a huge swig of the ale bottle that I had one of the kids pick up. I snatched it from his hand.
The row of kids following Krona and one's just carrying a big old bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Showing his parenting skills.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Krona is a people person, so he totally just like micromanaged these kids in like a bunch of different ways. You know, he's already got their names and everything down, but yeah, he's like, Squirt, give me that bottle, and takes a huge swig, and then puts it down next to Tejak as he's pulling the bow back, and then is like, kids, follow me this way to our freedom, and we're running along the wall.
Or does he have names for them?
I think he's made up names. Yeah, it's like Junior, Junior, Squirt, Long Arrow.
All right. So
Storm Child.
Okay, so there are three children here, right? We've got one boy who's really been suffering, and we've got two girls, one who's been suffering, and one was the new girl that was brought in from the Nora village. So when I come back to you, I want clearly identifying information about Squirt, Junior, and Storm Arrow.
Tugger. We all have like.
Change every time.
Storm Child is the Nora girl. There's a Nora girl. And then there's two boys.
No, there's one, and there's another boy and another girl. And the first boy and girl were actually the two that were in the sort of the prison, the cage a lot longer than the new Nora girl.
Okay.
So we're gonna cut back to Tejak, who's gonna get at least one more shot off right before the machines actually hit.
Hell yeah, he is. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna spend intellect, and I'm going to fire an arrow at one of the Watchers. Because how many things is there? Right? Is there a massive swarm of things?
Looking at the group in front of you, there's at least 20 machines that you can tell. You can't get a sense of getting all of them because they're all kind of moving together. But from what you can clearly define is that there's a front line of Watchers and Scrappers. Then there are clearly 3 Sawtooths.
Okay.
And then there are 2 of these Bellowbacks.
What's the furthest thing away in this?
The Bellowbacks.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's like trying to get an assessment of what's happening. And he like knocks the arrow, twists to the head of it, pulls it back, and then he looks to try to find Teus over his shoulder. And I'm sure Teus can't hear any of this because everyone's shouting, but he just calmly says, "Teus, you should come up here." And then lets go of the arrow. And I will attempt to hit another one of these thingies.
Are you going to hit a Watcher, or are you aiming for one of the Bellowback?
No,
okay,
I'm aiming for a Watcher.
Okay.
7 beats a 2, yep. So arrow spins through, hits a Watcher, a couple sparks happen, and again it eats dirt.
Okay. So as that one crumbles, Scrapper kind of tumbles over it a little bit and kind of, loses its footing and, has a second where it's down. But the rest of them are making their ways, kind of rushing towards the gate itself. And now we're going to do initiative.
Okay.
You're trying to get Teus to abandon the downstairs and head upstairs.
Yeah, he just calmly says that. So whether you hear it or not is up to you, because I'm sure everyone's shouting, and Tajak doesn't change the volume of his voice ever. So
Sure.
That's entirely up to you. What's the difficulty? Oh, I guess we're just doing 0. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it's the difficulty is.
Ooh, bad. I go last.
Holy shit.
Oh boy.
I lied. Sam goes last.
Oh boy.
Oh shit. Did you roll a 0?
He rolled a 4.
No, we rolled a 4. Okay. I was like looking. I'm sorry. The breakdown was a 4 and a 7, and Chrono was a 9. Jeez, guys.
Killing it.
Kind of feel like I should have left Freya in the mix, but okay. Let's do this. Okay.
I think Krona's carrying her, right? As best he can.
Krona is carrying her as best as he can. So here's what happens. Machines go first. Because the average of the different difficulties on the machines ends up being a 4. So that means that their initiative is a 12. Machines slam into the walls with force. The first line of washers and scrappers kind of slams into the gate, and it shifts, the entire front wall, the parapet and the gate and everything else, just a little bit, causing you to have to catch yourself as they kind of slam in, and it just they start to back off as the watchers start to kind of assess the situation, and they start looking up. As the Sawtooths are still kind of bounding, sort of farther back, and then they've got the Bellowbacks still coming in. So that first sort of like slam into the gate itself, Teus, as you're kind of moving away from it, because I'm assuming that's what you're doing, you're following Tajak's lead. You see that the cracks are beginning to show on the gate itself.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, Teus understands that the ground crew is just buying time, right? Like that was the whole point. So he knows that they're going to have to evacuate eventually.
Right.
20 machines. It's a lot of machines.
Totally. All right. So those Sawtooths will be in range next round of initiative. Like they'll be in range to kind of jump and leap in. Given what you've seen from the 2 Sawtooths that you've seen, kind of face off before, it is very likely that they're going to be able to jump the 12 or so high foot, height of the parapet. So I guess that means Krona goes next. Surprisingly, he goes first.
Glorious.
It is.
Come, children, follow me. Our freedom awaits right around the corner. He's, I think, running. I don't have like a super great picture of this place in my head, but I think along as far as these parapets go, and if possible, like if there's like some way to be out of. Ooh,
there's the front gate.
Okay.
You're running along one of these outer parapets right there.
Okay, and the back is on fire.
And the back, right here, this area right here is all on fire.
Okay, I'm gonna get to the west, basically on that.
You're welcome.
Hashtag pro gym.
You're
yes.
welcome for the fire.
Visual aid. Perfect. So I'm running along the parapet with these kids and continuing to tell this story in a lively fashion that gets the kids all stoked about fleeing and carrying Feyre on my back and getting to the kind of westernmost point of the wall. And if I can still do stuff, I'm looking for a rope, or if there's like a ladder around that area that people would use to get up, like pulling that ladder up in order to.
Yeah, there's definitely, like moving along, you maybe get like 20 or 30 feet and there's another ladder that can lead you down. There's currently, people trying to get up and kind of head that direction to kind of get out of the sort of the ground proper of that first inner circle, but also try to help whatever effort you can as arrows are starting to fly from various directions on the parapet towards the front.
Okay. I might keep going until I'm like a little bit away from this. I'll go to the next ladder if it's another 20, 40 feet or so.
That's about.
Yeah, that's probably my turn. But once I'm getting there, I'm dropping Feyre and like picking this ladder up to throw it over the outside wall.
Okay, so by the time you continue on, you're getting towards sort of the like what would be like the if on the degrees of the circle, right? This is 0, like the front entrance is 0. You're about 90 degrees, towards the right or whatever, essentially.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock works. You look like you're able to kind of grab, and one of the kids, Junior, kind of grabs even though he's like got very little strength, he grabs for the ladder with you and begins to help you haul it over as you place it towards the other side.
Oh, I think it's going to be a young fella for the boy who is in the cage.
Young fella.
Yeah, little lady for the girl who is in the cage, and then Stormchild is the Nora. Stormchild. She's the favored. She's the one who appears to be wearing plot armor or plot importance. She has enough description to get a name.
Well, what if it's fella? What if it's fella? All right, fella, little lady, and Stormchild. Okay, so fella is helping you, and is able to help you kind of get this thing over, because it's actually a pretty sturdy ladder, and it's a fair, there's a fair amount of weight to it. So it takes you that your entire turn to basically do this. And so we're going to cut to Tejak. There are now machines. What? Yeah, that's you. There's a bunch of machines sort of like in front, right below you, on the parapet, all kind of looking up and beginning to kind of assess the situation, and bumping and clawing against the wall as the Sawtooths are continuing to their approach to the Bellowbacks. And you do see clearly now that the first mass is kind of like landed, that there are 3 Sawtooths, there are 2 Bellowbacks. What's interesting about the Bellowbacks is that as you can see them and you're looking at them, you can see that they're kind of running low, and their back is sort of arched in such a way, and on their back there's that bulbous sort of like component to them, and you can sort of see it, and you can sort of see that there's like this weird sort of greenish, like neon greenish liquid kind of slopping around in there, but from the angle that you're looking at currently, you can't see the sort of the bulbous container that it actually is. You're a little concerned though.
Okay. So Johnny, you can decide how this happens. I'm going to I crouch down like beneath the bow, and I pull out an arrow, and then I just start pulling out different components of things, and I'm going to spend my turn making a fire arrow.
Okay, that works.
Okay, cool.
There's no role with that particular skill. You're just acquiring the skill set to be able to make that, right? Is that my understanding?
I think it's up to you. I mean, I have the plans to make it, so it's up to you if you want me to roll for it.
It's the kind of thing that would be, very sort of a fundamental kind of a thing. Awesome. The kid, I guess Kai is talking in chat. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So yeah, it's just you make it, and it's going to take your entire turn to do that. And okay. So as Tejas just kind of sits down, Tejak just kind of sits down and starts to assemble things. Tejas, are you getting just up onto the top of the parapet now? Is that what I'm seeing? So
yeah, so he like makes sure that everyone's in line, and then heads up, and he's gonna try to. Wait, so you said that the cat-like ones are going to be jumping over?
Yeah, the Sawtooth ones are definitely look like they're not slowing down, and you've seen them jump this high.
Yeah, so I think that's like he's like getting a glimpse of that, and he like shouts something that is like kind of lost in the storm, like kind of pointing at them as he like runs up, and he like starts climbing up, and he's going to prepare himself because basically. What I basically want to do is make it so that when one of these things is like jumping over, Taz can like make the attack at that moment and like hit it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's sort of like a hold action.
Yeah.
Right, kind of a situation. I don't remember reading anything specifically in the rules about this saying yes or no. I'll leave the rules lawyers to tell me if there's something wrong with this, but I'm going to let you hold your action.
Shoot a bow.
Well, I'm going to let you hold your action to be able to do this and have it carry over into the next round. And so you're going to be able to your initiative is going to change, and you're just going to be able to do that as that's happening. Because I think it's more cinematic and epic.
Cool. I'm good with that.
Cool. All right. So then we cut back to the machines. The watchers and prowlers are beginning to start to take assessment, and you're starting to see them do their individual things that they're really, really good at, which is you see the watchers are beginning to line up sight and see where individuals are, and you see a couple of them fire off these like balls of energy, and two balls of energy just kind of fly off into the sky as the bandits kind of just move away and start to separate themselves, or kind of move out of the trajectory of these things. But one of them actually nails somebody on the other side of the essentially the entrance door to the fort, and you watch as this person kind of this bandit tumbles over, and she lands sort of like in the dirt as the machines begin to kind of like move over and around her, and you can see that she's actually stunned as she's just kind of shaking her head. She's just taken a nasty fall, and she's also been stunned. So the machines are starting to move in. And as the watchers are beginning to kind of move into that situation, you see the prowlers are also beginning to kind of skirt back and forth, and they're starting to move around sort of the outer edge of the wall here, and move in different directions, trying to assess the situation, looking for a way in. And as they're beginning to do that, the Sawtooths arrive, and the three of them just continue bounding, and one jumps and just jumps right over the door, sort of the entrance of the fort. And as it does, its back paws, its back legs basically hit on the door, and it smashes like significantly. And you can see that there's a fair bit more damage done to as the door just kind of begins to buckle in a little bit on the brace. And as that's happening, the other two are making their jumps on either side of the gate itself. And so for Tues, you see this one coming, and you're preparing for it, and you see it jump. And as it does, it's basically only barely clearing above the heads of everybody else, giving you an opportunity. What do you do with that opportunity?
I take it.
Tell me all about it.
I'm going to try to basically what he's going to attempt to do, and we'll see how well it works as a roll, is he's essentially going to like reach up and snag like some loose wiring, and he's not really going to like try to like pull this thing down or anything, but he's going to essentially like try to use all his strength to turn himself into like a human fulcrum, to just like basically make it so that instead of doing a nice clean arc, that it just like kind of wraps around him, and then he'll let go at the right moment, so that instead of landing on all fours smoothly inside the fort, it smashes onto its face.
Interesting. Okay. Just out of curiosity, how are you leveraging yourself to be able to do that like sort of fulcrum move? Because as you're kind of grabbing it, the momentum would probably carry you unless you grabbed onto it just right and had the right bracing. So can you sort of like describe to me?
Is there any like railing or anything?
There is.
Yeah. So I think basically like he reaches up and just snags it and wrenches with all of his might, while just like maybe he like kind of has to take like a knee so that he like slides and is braced up against this parapet. And we'll see, maybe if this roll goes badly enough, that maneuver goes poorly for him as a result.
So the difficulty here is,
and I activated the focus, because how would anyone do such a ridiculous maneuver such as this without turning on their focus first?
Sure, right, because you held your action and you took the time to actually use your focus.
Exactly.
So you get the same information that was acquired before, talking about the weak points on it, on the armor, the fact that it's vulnerable to flame, and what the sort of the important components are on it. So Sawtooths are difficulty 5 to start. You're going to reduce that by 1 because of your sorry. You're going to reduce that by 1 because of your use of the focus. However, it seems to me, because you're trying to do this in a way, in a way where like the Sawtooth is in action over you, I feel like that cancels out the focus's sort of asset there. Fine. Because it would have increased the difficulty. But I know that since you're now tier 2, you've got like, up the wazoo of like other things that actually just help you out here. So to tell us all the things that help you out in this particular.
Oops. So it didn't actually do anything. All right.
That's all good.
First off, I'm now trained in unarmed strike, so that helps me.
Right.
I am going to spend 1 of my might pool to get 1 effort. Okay. But then the next level of effort costs 2. Mm-hmm. Because my might edge is 2, that costs me nothing. So I'll bump it up to 2 for effort for free. And then I also have this crushing blow, where when I'm using a two-handed weapon that is a bashing weapon, which since my hands count as medium bashing weapons, they are. I get another free level of effort, so it will be 3 effort to the roll.
Well, it's interesting because it says on there, if fighting unarmed, this attack is made with both fists or both feet together. So yeah, that totally works.
Yeah.
So that reduces it from a 5 to a 2?
Something like that. I think 5 to a 1 because I'm also trained. But it doesn't matter.
After all of that, that couldn't have been a better outcome.
That's so oh man, I have to re-roll that, right?
Do you have the XP to re-roll it?
I have 2 XP. I'm gonna spend 1.
Really, I really really want you to keep it. But go ahead. Do it. You deserve, with all of that, you deserve to re-roll that.
I'm gonna do all of that same nonsense that I just did all again, so it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to spend the pool again, right? Though it's like a full reroll, correct? Okay, that's okay.
Yes.
All right, it's okay. I can spend 1 might all day.
What?
Holy shit.
Now, I've seen these kind of rolls before, but usually I'm on the shit end of them. Usually, it's usually people rolling like 20s and like, fucking crits and fucking blaze in the dark.
That's a 1 in 400 chance.
True randomness, buddy. True randomness.
Oh, that's great.
Nuts.
That's good.
I think you should just roll again, just so that we know.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Just roll again so we make sure that life isn't broken.
Do it.
I just want to see if it's roll another 1. Okay, so it's just you.
Okay.
It's just me.
So a GM intrusion.
Yeah, it's a GM intrusion.
Bye, Teos.
Yes. Why don't you tell me what really bad thing happens to Teos as this is, yeah.
So I think he like grabs and it like obviously like yanks him, like the momentum just like yanks him near, like pulls the arm out of its socket, right? And then he like slides and stops as he braces himself against this. And like it seems like it's gonna work for a second. There's like this horrible straining of metal as he like lets out this groan of effort. And then the entire side of this like wooden construction just comes peeling apart as it like pops and breaks and basically like ends up taking like himself and maybe an entire section of the back half of this wall off at the same time, as he just goes tumbling down with the creature or the machine rather, landing sprawling inside the fort. And of course, since this thing is modeled after a cat, it lands on all 4 feet.
All right, and so as you're kind of being pulled and you start tumbling over, and the backside of the sort of the parapet gets damaged and pulled apart, the strain and effort on that travels through sort of the connected pieces of like timber, and like for whatever reason, as you're beginning to kind of move over, the cat's tail, the sawtooth's tail just kind of catches onto part of the door, the sort of the gate that you've been trying to brace, cracking it even more as there are 2 sawtooths right in front of you as you tumble down, and bandits are moving back. Some are just running in panic, and others are just brandishing their spears and bows and just starting to attack the sawtooths as they begin to just kind of tear into everyone down there as we cut to Krona.
Yes, good work, little ones. Yes, the ladder. Make sure you don't drop the ladder. That's of utmost importance. So I'm coordinating with these kids. I got Feyre on the ground or on the parapet, and we're working this ladder up over the outside wall of the keep. And once it's secure and in place, having these kids go down them single file.
The first child, who do you send down in what order?
Stormchild is going down first. Lead the way, Stormchild.
Stormchild makes
express the Nora bravery in this moment. Sorry.
Stormchild makes her way down. Who is following her down?
Little lady.
So Stormchild makes her way down and begins to hold on to the ladder a little bit, because it's a little rickety in the way that you have it placed, until she's able to kind of secure it. But as she's doing that, little lady begins to make her descent. As I'm going to throw a GM intrusion in here, as Stormchild is holding on, she kind of looks over, and you see her eyes go wide, and she kind of looks up at you as you look over at what she's seeing. And you see that there is a scrapper beginning to make its way around the curve of the outer wall. And it hasn't noticed, Stormchild or little lady yet on the ladder, but it's testing the side of the outer side of the fortress here, the outer wall here, as it has not noticed yet. But you're going to take 1 XP, and you're going to be able to give that 1 XP to somebody else as this thing begins to kind of move in. Again, it has not noticed either of the children on the ground yet.
I'm going to give my XP to Teus for that terrible set of rolls.
Much appreciated.
He's going to need it.
Oh, geez. All right. So I think she looked and saw this thing. I saw this thing. And then she looked back up to me, like questioningly, what should I do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go and then creep kind of closer towards it, with pulling a dagger out of my belt, and I'm activating my focus to get its deets, to get its yeets. And this is a scrapper. They're the ones that step up from the Watchers, right? They're the
yeah. Let me show you a picture of them again. Let me show you the picture so that
the animated one, right?
No, this isn't the animated one, but it's on the game table.
Ooh. What difficulty were these again?
They are difficulty 3, but they've got a little bit more armor than the Watchers.
Okay. All right. I'm going to. So one of the kids is halfway down the ladder, right?
Little lady is halfway down the ladder. You've got Stormchild holding on to the ladder, starting to panic a little bit. And, fellow is just kind of looking at the situation, trying to figure out what's going on, and is slowly creeping behind you, trying to be helpful in whatever way he possibly can be.
Okay, is there rope nearby?
There is some rope. What are you needing to do with that rope?
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna grab the. Well, I whisper to young fella, the last remaining, and I'm like, I'm gonna create a distraction, young fella, and I need you all to take advantage of the distraction and escape and head west and hide, and I will find you. Just wait for my voice. And I grab this rope, and I'm like, may the storm protect you. And I move further down the wall, like closer to the scrapper, and throw the rope down the wall so that I'm basically like offering myself as a bait to the scrapper, right? And pretending that I'm oblivious to the fact that it's like prowling around in this area. So I throw the rope over the wall and start scrambling down the wall, and I'm doing some kind of distraction. I'm baiting it, maybe with deception or something like that. I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think is appropriate here? Because I'm kind of curious, because there's a couple things that I could see happening here. One would be sort of sort of more of a strategic kind of a thing. So that seems like it's more of an intelligence role, or it's more of as like a quick action kind of a thing. Kind of like jumping out and going, emoting or something. So that seems like more like a speed roll of some kind.
I feel like there's a thing. Draw the attack. Oh no, that's not it. Never mind. I think deception, maybe persuasion, or just an intellect. I'm cool with just doing an intellect if that seems the most obvious.
Whatever you feel is most appropriate here. I'm going to trust your judgment in this particular case.
Well, I mean, I'm trained in deception, so. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay. So describe to me what that actually looks like as you're kind of jumping down in front of this thing with the rope.
I'm just being like, I throw the rope down and like secure it on the wall of the rampart, and then just starts like hop over the wall and scramble down this rope, just making like a total ruckus. I'm like, oh God, the robots are coming. The storm saved me. These robots are after us. And like just a total exaggeration of a panic and scrambling. Like my feet are scrambling against the side of the wooden wall, just to make this huge commotion.
And are you wearing your robe?
No, it's in my pack.
That's right. Okay. All right. So as you're kind of scrambling down, you actually catch this thing off guard, and it jumps back, and it's like it jumps backwards. And so when it jumps back to like 20 feet, and just kind of like its eyes go, sort of red, and it just kind of assesses you, and it begins to kind of pace sort of around you a little bit, heading sort of in the direction of the children. But as it's like still got its eyes focused on you, you hear the scrambling and footsteps of the children as they begin to kind of move away.
They are trained in stealth, as a reminder.
They are trained in stealth, and so they're starting to make that move, and it looks like it's moving, sort of like it's continuing its like sort of prowl around the side, and it looks like it's about to jump towards you, and that's when we cut to Jack.
So how many things are inside and have the doors busted open?
The doors are buckling, but they are not open yet, and there are 3 sawtooths inside beginning to decimate.
And under how many is Tues?
He is right next to one, sort of crumpled on the ground, but otherwise he's okay.
Shit. Does he look?
That's what I said.
Does he look badly hurt? Like, I'm sure I heard a yelp when he got yanked over the side, right?
He probably just looks like he got the wind knocked out of him, if you know what that is.
At this point, given the severity of the situation, did your might pool increase at all when you went to tier 2?
I have 18 might.
Okay. And how many, what's your current might pool?
16.
Given what's going on in the fight and where we are, I'm going to say that you were knocked prone. And so that'll be an indication.
I was assuming that. I was assuming I was like flat on my back.
Yeah, it's knocked prone, basically the wind out of you, but otherwise you've taken enough falls that you knew how to land, even though you were, basically pulled into out of position and you're prone. So he doesn't look worse for the wear, but he definitely does look like he's just that, he's knocked in that, knocked down in that situation for now.
Okay. But he looks like he's okay. And if anything, Tajak knows that Tues can get out of most things. He got out of prison, he can get out of this.
I'm not sure that's how he got out of prison, but okay, that works, buddy.
That's fine.
You can dodge a wrench.
Yeah, you can dodge a ball. So all of the creatures are up against the door, right? They're up against the gate. They're kind of bashing it in.
Okay.
So their attention is very focused on the bandit town.
Wait a minute, you're talking about the sawtooths or the...
No, all the things outside. They're very intent on getting into this bandit camp.
They are intense, but they're not slamming against the door essentially anymore. They're now trying to assess. As you saw, that the scrappers and watchers are trying to figure out what they're doing. The scrappers look to be sort of looking at the perimeter, exploring the perimeter, trying to figure a way in, as the watchers are beginning to fire off these like stun bolts, these stun energy balls essentially coming out of their eyeball that's like starting to take people out if they don't avoid them. And so the sawtooth cats have jumped inside dramatically, and the bellowbacks are still sort of ambling their way. They're still at least another round away.
Oh, okay. So not everyone's here. Okay, that's what I need. I need to know when everyone is fully at the thing. Is anyone around me? Or you said everyone gave me space, but is anyone like really paying attention to me?
There are a couple of bandits that are, assessing the situation and trying to support and keep the watchers at bay, keep their attention. They are noticing that you're, what you're doing and what effort you're doing, but they're not actually paying attention to you, like focusing on you.
Okay.
There are people around you though.
Okay. I take the fire arrow that I have just made and I just sort of and I stick it through that, it snaps on to the hat. Like a beer helmet, it snaps into the top of it, and then I grab another arrow and I pull back and I fire at. What do I know about the gooey things? What are they called? The ones that
the bellowbacks.
The bellowbacks.
Okay.
Is it acid based? Is it like fueler based?
It is a fuel based kind of a thing.
Okay.
So you kind of look back over and you start looking at the bellowbacks as they're coming in. You bring the focus up and it starts to remind you of information that you have had because you've actually seen, the Banuk actually take on, bellowbacks before. You've never actually encountered one yourself, but you have heard stories and that. Things that you find interesting about the bellowbacks. While they are a little slower than most machines in a fast run, they're actually incredibly agile and able to move, kind of around and do their thing. That there are what are generally considered liquid sacks or fuel sacks around sort of the right below and on their chest, which are these things. If you're looking at the creature, I think I pulled it back. Yeah. And then there is this much larger sort of like sack on the back of it that also contains sort of this weird sort of liquidy substance. That those areas are incredibly well preserved. They're difficult to actually pierce, and when you attack them, it uses its tail for swiping attacks. You will use its body to kind of butt into you.
Okay.
But it's most famous for spitting fire out of its snout.
Okay. Here's what I want to do, Johnny.
You got it, buddy.
Fire an arrow at one of these bellowbacks.
Okay.
But I want to use my skills in creature knowledge to find and aim for a weaker point in the fuel sack, fuel line, fuel chesticles, fuel goatee, whatever situation there, right? I basically don't want to do any damage to this thing. I want to nick an artery and make fuel leak out of this thing as it's running towards the gate. For no reason at all.
I need some sort of a knowledge roll here before you do anything else. And this is sort of an incidental roll so that you're aware, what awareness these, how much,
Yeah.
Tajak actually paid attention when other Banuk shaman started telling stories about this.
Okay.
So you
What
did-
is the difference?
Did you glaze over while, in much of the same way that when you're listening to Chrono, or did you actually, hear something? And we're going
Maybe.
to call this difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. Okay, so I have creature knowledge as a skill. Difficulty is
Okay.
going to be 4. I'm going to spend 1 effort. And no asset. Oh, I have a focus. Does that count as an asset for this?
That does.
So 1 asset. I succeed.
I'm really glad you succeeded,
Me too.
because you remember a tall tale of one Banuk shaman who talked about the taking on of the Bellowback in the cut, and they thought they would be really safe because of the way that they were attacking it. The way that the sort of the Werak, which is a sort of a group, a subgroup of a tribe led by a chieftain, and the way that the Werak of 5 different warriors plus the chieftain plus this Banuk shaman was attacking it. And the youngest of the Braves, or the youngest of the warriors, decided that he really wanted to be a star and shine. And so, not listening to his chieftain's sort of instructions, he took his arrow and aimed for this, sort of the big bulbous sack that was in the back, as he had a clear shot on the backside. And when he did, he actually did nick the bulbous sack, but he did it in such a way such that as the sack itself and the liquid inside began to spew out and began to pressurize, an incredibly large explosion happened, taking out 3 of the warriors almost immediately, leaving the chieftain, the Werak chieftain, 1 warrior, this young warrior, and the sort of Banuk shaman having incredible difficulty taking down this Bellowback. They finally did, but all of them suffered scars and burns because of sort of the explosive, nature of this particular Bellowback.
So how do I not do that?
That's a really good question.
That's what I'm going for. Is that a no that cannot be done, or is that a what is your thoughts on that?
You could definitely, with all of this knowledge, as an asset in this fight, you could definitely take a shot at this particular thing and nick it in such a way that you feel like you could cause that liquid to start to escape without causing it to actually break the seal in such a way that there's going to be an immediate explosion.
I'm doing.
That explosion is going to eventually happen, but it's not going to happen right away.
That's fine. I just need some liquid to come out. Difficulty 4?
For the Bellowback?
Yeah.
Oh no, my friend.
Oh, okay.
This is a level 6.
Level 6. Cool. So difficulty 6. I'm going to spend 2 effort on this thing. So that's reduced this pool by 4. I have 1 asset from my knowledge and 1 asset from my focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I succeed? I succeed.
You succeed. Holy crap. Okay.
Oh, my luck.
So when you nick this thing, tell me what it looks like as you're hitting this thing, because it's running towards you, and you can see sort of the bulbous area in the back, kind of rise and
so what I'm going for, right, is I feel like I have enough knowledge, and I've like seen these things up close, right, when they're dead, and I feel like the large tank somehow connects to like the chest area, which somehow connects to the neck, which sprays it out of the mouth, right? That's kind of how physics works. But there's a tube. There's 2 tubes that seem to run like underneath to these like little goatee situations down here. And so like I aim the bow and I sort of like tip it downward, and I avoid the giant fuel sack at the back, because that's too obvious and it would be well protected. And I pull forward and like nick towards the face, because it's the smallest target, and it goes straight by the thing, to the point where like someone goes, "You missed," or something like that, right? But it spins, and just enough of the arrowhead nicks that fuel line on the side of this thing's face, and you just see like a little of green sort of spray out. Not enough for anyone to notice, but as it's going, it's just like brake line fluid is just sort of squirting out of the side of its face.
as you kind of nick it, and it kind of moves off, and you see the spray start. You see it kind of slow down a little bit and kind of shake itself as it's like looking at and assessing the situation. As the other billowback continues forward, and it'll arrive the next round, and this one is just still kind of assessing itself, trying to figure out what it's trying to do. It's just kind of looking around, and every time it moves its head, you can see a little bit of spray of like this greenish sort of stuff begin to kind of come out, and it looks like it's beginning to sort of collect on the ground a little bit.
Cool. As
you hear another crackle of thunder and lightning, and all of you really begin to sort of smell the sort of the overwhelming like sense that rain is totally impending in doom. As we cut to Tues lying prone on the ground with 2 sawtooths right in front of him attacking other people.
Tues, like, his vision comes back into focus after just like slamming on his back. He's just like, gets up, sees what's going on, looks for Tajak. Can I get to Tajak from where I am, or are there robots in the way?
You'd have to jump right. You'd have to climb back up towards the ladder.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna basically just like run for the ladder and climb up it. And when Tues gets to the top, he's gonna like grab Tajak's shoulder and just be like, I think it's time to get the fuck out of here. The kids are gone. These people are definitely gonna die. There's a fire back there.
I have a plan.
You have a plan?
Yes.
What's the plan?
You see that one? And he points to the one kind of like off, a little bit dazed.
The bellowback that stays, yeah.
Yeah, it's big, it's green.
Yes, yes.
Seems like, is it drunk?
No, I shot an arrow at it. It's leaking fuel.
Okay. That's not a plan.
This arrow makes fire. And he snaps it back into his hat. The plan is, when that thing gets here, we leap over them. And I fire on it from behind. And then there's 2 fires.
And then we hit the ground.
And run.
And splat.
It's only 13 feet.
About.
I'm like 98% sure you're going to sprain your ankle on the landing, but all right.
Probably.
I tell you what. I'll make sure I'll carry you down.
Perfect.
All right.
I can shoot from the air.
Tell me when it's time and we'll jump.
Got it. And I unstick the bow, and that's that.
Yeah, he's gonna just like haul you up onto his back.
All right. So as you're doing that, we cut back to the machines. The scrappers are now kind of moving, continuing to move along the sides. So for those of you at the front gate, you can still see that they're kind of moving around. The watchers are starting to fire at other bandits. Another one fires off, and it goes off flying into the distance towards the storm clouds. As you see that the storm clouds are really dark above you now, and you can really smell the rain. But the other 2 watchers that you can see right in front of you, their bolts fly off, and 2 more bandits, tumble and fall, sort of in the same area that the first woman who fell, the first female bandit fell, and these guys can also fall, and she's really having a hard time kind of fending them off, and they kind of fall and land, and they're able to kind of group together and start to defend a little bit, but they're really dazed still, and they're taking some serious damage. The sawtooths that are in sort of the first, inner circle of this place, they're just continuing to swipe and attack, and one of them looks to be sparking a little bit. The one on the far side, is getting, a fair bit of damage done to it, but the other 2 are doing, an incredible amount of damage to the bandits, and they're just kind of clawing and swiping away, and that chaos just sort of going, playing as sort of the backdrop of where Tues and Tajak are right now. The one bellowback that is kind of doing its thing, is trying to assess itself, kind of just kind of looking around. The spray is just sort of happening, kind of sorts itself out, moves its head back down and continues its pursuit forward towards the fort, the entrance to the fort. But the other one kind of moves up, kind of doing its thing, kind of rears as it's coming up and spews flame all along the front of the wall, the front area and the gate. And the gate really catches fire as there's a lot of exposed like inner wood because it's been splitting and everything, and it starts to catch up. And you can see that it's just crumbling, and the gate is beginning to kind of drop at this particular point. As the flames just sort of begins to kind of try to catch. Is there a little sort of like nicks and damage done to the sort of the front side of both walls, but its flame is just kind of like piercing back and forth just into this area as it's starting to catch just a little bit. As we cut to Krona, who's facing a scrapper who just kind of jumps and makes its attack at you. So you're going to need to make me some sort of the defense roll here because it's jumping in for the attack.
Well, it just so happens Krona's now trained in speed defense without armor.
What? When did that happen?
Tier 2.
What?
Yes. 18 and 9.
Well. So this thing just kind of jumps, and describe to me because this thing is like leaping forward towards you. Describe to me the super cool sort of move that Krona uses to get super out of the way.
Yes. Actually, I got a great idea. So Krona is like totally playing coy and still pretending to be scrambling against the wall and like cursing and screaming in fear, but actually is like in such an angle that that the scrapper's not seeing it, has pulled his dagger out and is like holding it like this, like in front of his chest, and has like one of his legs pressed against the wall and is like listening, like, and kind of glancing out of the corner of his eye. So when it leaps, he like pushes against the wall and holding onto the rope is like dodges out of the way just in time, but is like also ready with his dagger to stab it in the glowing spot from the focus.
So you kind of like skirt yourself on the side. This thing comes slamming in towards you and slams right into the side of the outer wall of the fort here. And it's like it slams in and just kind of drops a little bit and is really dazed. It can't even move yet. It's knocked prone, giving you an opportunity to take your turn and make your attack.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm going in. Going for the spot, the glowing spot on my focus.
Okay.
So that gives an asset, right?
An asset to the attack. It's also prone, so that's technically another asset. These things are level 3, so it seems like you also have something else that's going to help you knock it down to just an automatic success, right?
I can use effort, but I think I'm going to use effort to damage.
Okay.
I don't know how to. Is that a thing you can? Well, I'm using 2 effort towards damage. I'm not sure you put that in this thing. That's Here we go. I'm sorry. I got this, y'all. Okay.
Good.
Rolled an 11.
All right. Well, you definitely hit this thing, right? And at the cost of you do, Jesus. Describe to me what it's like when you are able to take your blade and slide it in right to the most vulnerable spot that you can see because of the focus. What does that look like?
Yes, I think push away from the wall and like let go of the rope and land on the ground and like roll forward and slip like right as it's falling. I'm just like plunge my dagger right into its weak spot, and like hold my fist up to the sky and praising the storm for its blessing.
And as you do that, there is this huge like bolt of lightning that just kind of lights up the entire sky behind you. A crack of thunder. And the rain begins.
Nice.
Sweet.
As we cut to, we see the children just kind of running off towards the backside, of the fort and away, on the mountain as they're kind of making their way off.
Did I kill it?
Oh yeah, this thing's dead.
Oh, cool.
As this thing's just like its crumpled form just kind of just shuts down as that crack and lightning happen and everything else, and the rain starts as the children are making their way. As we cut to Tues. No, sorry, Tajak. I'm sorry.
The wounded Bellowback is now barreling towards the gates.
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm held in the burly arms of Tues, and I'm awaiting his leap so I can fire this.
I'm
this
waiting
fire
for your
arrow.
signal.
The signal is when the Bellowback gets there.
Okay.
So it's basically
The
as soon as you
Sorry,
see
go
the
ahead.
wounded Bellowback get to the gate where the other ones are, that's your cue to jump over these things.
To do the thing.
So, am I hearing this correct? Both of you are holding your actions until that happens?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Tues, so Tajak is preparing for this. He's like, he's all ready to go on your back. Tues, what sort of preparation are you taking to be able to take this particular action?
He cracks his fingers and gets his shield ready. And what I'm going to try to do here, Johnny, is when this beastie gets to the wall, I'm going to try to run and jump because we're on like a slope, right? It's like a slope down. What I'm going to try to do is run and jump. And as I jump, I'm going to try to pull the shield under us so that we like land and go like skidding down and have like some buffer. And we like sled our way down the hill.
Are you going to be surfing that, or just like on your knees? Like total Legolas style, or like?
And I'm trying to like sit on it, like child on a round sled style,
like National Lampoon's for like Christmas Vacation.
Well, I was going to say that, or maybe more like unMadeGaming and Willow from Willow when they jump on the shield and they go sliding down the mountain. You like that reference there?
That's a good one.
All right.
It's like Legolas, but less cool.
Right, exactly, which is unMadeGaming. So are you holding your action right now to do this, or are you for when it arrives? Because it's not gonna arrive until the next round.
I'm waiting for the time.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my impressive display for this again. So that's like gonna be how I make this happen.
All right. So based on what I'm hearing here, when that Bellowback arrives, Tues is going to do his thing first, and then Tajak is going to do his thing. Or is it Tajak? Okay. All right. So now I understand.
Wait, I thought you were firing from the air.
Did I just hear that wrong? Yes, Tues is going to leap, and then I'm going to fire. So Tues first. Then
Right.
Yeah.
Tues first, then Tajak. Okay. So both of you are kind of holding your action and prepared and ready to go. So end of that round, cuts to the next round. Scrappers are continuing to do their thing. Krona, as you're just kind of like assessing the situation, you're kind of looking at this and you're celebrating, and you're in the afterglow of that lightning strike, and the rain has begun to hit, and sort of just assessing the situation. You see another light a little bit as there's another scrapper beginning to kind of make its way around, just kind of again testing the sort of thing in the situation as it's kind of knocking against the side of the outer wall of the fortress as the rain is beginning to drench you and is starting to make the ground really wet. But that's the only thing that you see is that scrapper just sort of coming around. As we cut back towards more to the front side, where for Tajak and Tues, behind you, what you see is what you sort of hear and kind of peripherally see is you see the sawtooths beginning to kind of spread out as the initial devastation of the what was happening at the front gates is now kind of moving farther in around the circle. And Krona, you can sort of hear screaming and just attacks and fighting as these sawtooths are coming. Two of them are coming in your direction, as behind that wall, and you can kind of hear the chaos of that going on. As on the front side, the Watchers are kind of doing more coordination as they're firing off more of their things, their stun balls as they're just kind of flying out and taking out more people. Yes, you did. You did do that. We'll have to fix that in just a second there, Krona. So the stun balls are just kind of going out even more as the scrappers are moving out, as the first Billowback is continuing to kind of just do its sort of devastation thing with the flame, as the gate just sort of crumbles and it moves in, stepping over the flames, as the second one arrives and begins to kind of move, in a direction as it begins to flame the sort of the outer structure, walking right in a perfect trajectory for Tues and Tajak to do what they're going to do. Guys, it's your turn. You held your action. What are you doing?
Well, because Krona bravely got both the children and Farah out, there's nothing that could possibly keep us here. and so Tues is going to make his mighty leap and sit down on the shield and hope that this explosion does not kill us all.
Me too.
Okay, so this impressive display happens. Narrate it for us and then Tajak step in as he's narrating it, wherever you need to.
Sure.
Yeah. So Taz, he's got like Tajak on like his shoulders, and this like little bobbin glow of light, and he takes a run and mighty leap, hauling the shield under him. And pulling it up, and we're going like sailing down in an arc over the billowback, and then.
So did you like slide off of the bellowback? Because that'd be cool.
No. That would kill us. That would
It actually might not. It might be even cooler if you did that. But
the optimal thing that I'm imagining is that like you shoot the arrow at a time when the blowback of the explosion will like catch the shield and like launch us. I'm imagining that as the perfect scenario.
Okay. All right, cool. So here's the scenario, right? So I am on like little kid style. Legs are wrapped around, knees tucked under, ankles behind the back. He leaps over the thing. I draw the arrow, draw the bow, snap the arrow off, pop it on, and I fire. And at first, Tues is like, "What the fuck?" Because I fire the arrow way far in front of us. Like nowhere near where he thinks it was supposed to go. And then you see it like hit the ground and just... and like some of the grass around it like lights on fire, and then you see the trail as we're flying over, the trail's going underneath us, and then it like catches up to where like the is sparking off of the bellowback, and you just see it like connect, and that's where we get blown forward.
Amazing.
I need a roll
Do
for
you?
this. No, so that's gonna happen. I just need to know how devastating this actually is. So just roll a normal attack roll with your bow and just no modifications whatsoever. I just need the die result.
Tell you what, Johnny, what's the most devastating it can be?
Pretty bad.
I spend an XP. It's
You want it to be the
devastating.
Okay.
It's real bad.
Like,
All right.
that one explodes, the fire and the buildup of pressure knocks the other bellowback over, and enough to make that one, like, it's about to, like, spit out, but, like, it catches some of the liquid, and that one explodes, too.
Arrow lands, catches. You're still in air. Tues, you're looking down at this. You're like, what the fuck? He missed. And it just it begins to catch and goes, and it crawls. The flame just sort of crawls up. And if you were looking at this from a distance, you see this guy sliding down or flying down on the shield with this other guy who's like pointed off to this way. And there is this bellowback that just sort of explodes, and that just carries and pushes. And this explosion just like it looks like a huge fireball, and it takes up an area of about 40 feet as it just, flames out. Liquid fire spews out, doesn't catch you guys because it's carried by gravity and just kind of lands and starts to take out not only other watchers and one prowler or one scrapper that's still there, but also kind of lands on the wall of the fort itself. As the rain begins to pour, the fire isn't actually put out because, and it's a heavy downpour. The rain, the flame just, it's like napalm. It continues to burn and the last little bit just sort of lands on the back of the bellowback that has now pushed its way through in the gate. And you can see that there is a flame just sort of like dancing on the backside of this, like the sack of the second bellowback. I need a roll from Tues on to survive the sort of the blow, the blowback, the sort of the concussion that you're riding and ultimately landing. I need some sort of like roll from you at this point. I'm not done describing what actually happens because based on that XP, this shit is about to get real.
Okay. I guess speed probably because it's like a movement based type. Well, actually, I mean, if I can use might, I will, but it probably would be speed. I don't know.
You could do maneuvering, or you could, basically figure out a way to land, sort of bluntly, or how to take the damage. Essentially, in this particular case. So, however you want to narrate this, that's going to determine, what the role is, whether it's going to be speed or might. If you can even argue, if you can, Jesus. Sorry, if you can narrate me some way, like you could like talk about the trajectory and how you're going to, land it. I'll even take an intelligence roll.
No, I think like the way it works is it's just like him just like trying to absorb as much of the impact so that Tajak doesn't experience it. So it's like really just like an endurance thing. He's gonna try to like make his body like flexible. He's just gonna like try to turn himself into a shock absorber, human shock absorber.
Your knees are going to hurt, buddy. But okay.
Oh, yeah. His body is going to be in bad shape after this. Cool.
I want you to take an asset for doing the impressive display, though. I'm just going to give you an asset for that.
Cool. What's the difficulty?
I'm not going to tell you.
So how do assets work if you don't know what the difficulty is?
It's going to reduce essentially... I'm going to assume based on the difficulty I've got in my head that it's going to reduce it by 1. So just go ahead and roll it.
Cool. I'm going to spend some effort.
Add 3 to your roll.
Or do that, yeah.
I'm going to do 1 for 2 effort again because that the fact that I can do that for might is pretty ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. It's going to really help in the next big situation, in the next big scenario.
That's a 16.
God damn it. Why couldn't you be failing like you were doing before? That would have been great because it would have been neat, like a neat, like end over end sort of tumble with both you and Tajak. So the blowback, just like the concussiveness of it, just kind of like launches you even farther. But you're able to angle it in such a way and come down as you're like landing on the, sort of the incline that's leading down towards the grove. You come sliding down in as you just like kind of land, and it's very much like a like in Willow or Indiana Jones where they hit a bump, it just like it comes back down and you both are like disheveled a little bit, but otherwise you're just continuing to make that slide down. And that's when the second explosion hits, because the little flame on the backside of that bellowback ignites and it just blows out and devastates, and that every like part of the wall in that outer, like that area right there, just gets blown out and there's splinters flying everywhere. One of the sawtooths is caught and it's blown and just kind of like crumbles, off to the side and just completely devastated, as some of the watchers are also kind of blown back and are now flaming. For Krona, he sees that other sort of scrapper coming around, and the thing just kind of turns, its eyes light up, and then there's an explosion and the wall just sort of disappears, taking the scrapper with it as it just kind of tumbles and just comes crumbling to the ground. And you're like, you're kind of like, shocked and sort of like thrown a little bit from the concussive nature. But as you're kind of assessing the situation, you realize you've got an opportunity. And so we're going to cut back to the devastation as it's happening. Dead bodies burning everywhere. The storm is sort of like coming in, and it's just like this downpour. And the sort of the front part of the fort is burning or blown away and just sort of devastated. And there are two sort of like sawtooths left that are just kind of moving back towards the direction, and they're just kind of like assessing the situation, picking their way around the fire. but they're looking for the immediate danger. Krona, you're able to you have an opportunity to grab Feyre and just kind of run away. So narrate us out of this scene.
Yeah, I think in this moment of this huge explosion and having just killed this stalker and everything, Krona is like just so jazzed and just raises his dagger up to the sky in victory, praises the storm, and then has a moment that like glances back and is like, "Oh no, I forgot Feyre." Oh, and then he like grabs hold of the rope and like scrambles up the wall as these stalkers are kind of prowling around, and goes and grabs Feyre. It was totally a Keith moment that I was cracking up at earlier. I was like, oh no, but it was actually really fitting that Krona would totally forget Feyre, right? It was like, oh yeah, totally got everything under control, absolutely confident in this plan. Oh wait.
Her boots are a little bit singed from the explosion, but otherwise she's okay, and you're able to kind of drag her, but she's still clearly knocked out and not looking like so good. Like she needs help soon. Cool. So you're able to drag her and then move off and connect up with the children. As we cut back to Tues and Tejak, who have come to a sliding halt just right in front of where the grove of trees is, and you're able to kind of look back and see the devastation behind you.
See? The plan worked.
Yeah.
We not only did we save the children, but we also dealt a devastating, if not completely decimating, blow to the bandits. They shouldn't be an issue anymore.
And a devastating, if not completely decimating blow to my backside. That's gonna be really painful for a long time.
That's fine.
He said he's like standing up, like obviously just like in tremendous amount of pain from absorbing an explosion and then landing on a metal shield to ride down the hill.
He picks up his hat like off of his head, and so you can actually like see his face, and he says, and you hear like a snap, and he puts his head back on, and he like extends these three metal rods extend out, and he places it down, and there's a triangular chair, and he says, "Would you care to sit?"
I don't think I'm going to be sitting for a few days.
Oh, okay. And then he squats down into the chair in his little mushroom form, and he was like, I believe we must wait for Krona and Feyre and the children. This spot seems safe enough.
Fair enough.
And he snaps the bow back in and puts it back on his hat.
Can you send him a message or...
Oh, yes, I can. Krona.
Oh, yes.
We're safely out. I believe we have destroyed all of the bandits. We're waiting on you beneath a tree. You'll see it.
Perfect. I definitely did not forget Feyre. I carried her the whole way, and I'm coming with all the children.
Quite brave of you. You've done great.
I know. I also slew several stalkers.
Impressive. If only I had been around to see it myself.
The kids saw it. They'll attest to it.
Oh. I think he meant to say watchers. Oh, I'm sorry. I was still speaking. See you in a minute.
He's like visibly like tired as he's carrying Feyre, and then children are talking to him and everything.
The children are telling tall tales about Krona, the magnificent, the warrior who saved them as they took down a couple of scrappers, and
yes.
that big explosion that happened. They were attributing it to Krona as well. And, Stormchild is telling this fantastic story, and she's like pretending to be Krona. And Krona is like, it bolsters your soul and gives you a little bit of energy as you are otherwise weary in this particular situation as you join back up with Tejak and Tues.
Well, I'll be honest, that went extremely well. I thought we were all gonna die there at the end. I'll be straight with you boys.
Of course it went well. We had the blessing of the storm. What did I tell you?
Lightning strike and thunder again in the background.
Oh, I mean,
The storm didn't really help at all.
yeah, I don't. If anything, it made things harder.
Oh no, the storm helps in mysterious ways.
And to accent that, there is a lightning strike in the fort, catching more things on fire.
See?
I think a good amount of the fire was caused by myself, and the storm did nothing to aid it. In fact, the storm almost put out several fires that I had lit.
You have much to learn about the ways of the storm. But you did an excellent and commendable job, my friends.
Oh, well, thank you. And you got all of the children and Feyre out.
I did, single-handedly.
Johnny, does it look like all of the machines are also dead and or dying? Or are they just ravaging the...
There are two sawtooths that are still kind of like assessing the situation. They're checking over the rest of the machines, but pretty much every other machine is decimated besides those two sawtooths. They took the least amount of damage, and you can see that they're sparking a little bit.
Should we stay and assess the damage?
I think we may want to get these kids home. I'm pretty sure the damage is, as you said, total.
It is quite total. Perhaps I'll come back.
I did not learn all I had hoped to learn from the bandit leader Cessna, though I did manage to pilfer an excellent cask of ale. Oh, Tajak, did you bring it?
Oh, that was for me to bring.
Ah, damn you.
I just thought you didn't want to carry it.
Well, I was carrying a whole person and several children. I thought you could lend a hand.
I had both hands on my bow.
I suppose that's a good enough excuse.
Thank you. Well, and he just stands up and folds up the chair and like tips the hat and puts it back inside. I guess we'll be going now. And he just starts to turn and walk back towards the other brave town.
Does anybody else want to take a turn carrying Feyre?
No, thank you.
Little fella speaks up and says, "I'll do it."
No, save your strength, little one.
Visibly upset.
I think Taz will like hold out. He's like just got a expression of pain on his. He looks like if you've ever seen somebody who's like been in like a bad car crash or like a bad like bike accident or something where like they fell and it's just like their entire body is like one bruise. If you've ever felt that or like met somebody who's been in that situation, you know, like the look, the expression that somebody who has just like trying to embrace the fact that moving in any way is just pain. So he has that expression on his face, but he holds out his arms to take her if you want to give her to him.
Actually, I think I can handle it.
Oh, okay. He just like takes like a step, and it's just like, no, God, as he, makes his way behind Tajak slowly but
I
surely.
offered to wait and a chair.
Chair wouldn't help. Oh God.
As more lightning and the thunder just kind of happens in the background as the rain continues. We watch the three of you with Krona carrying Feyre and the children sort of following behind and still actively acting out their adventures as they're playing with each other as Stormchild continues to pretend that she is Krona as we sort of fade away. And that's where we'll end it.
Perfect. More people pretending to be Krona. One wasn't bad enough. With that being said, guys, that was episode 7 of The Seekers, where Johnny forgets what he names episodes and called one Penumbra and the other one Umbra.
You know what Penumbra and Umbra is?
No, I don't know.
Go look it up.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, I know what it is.
It's like penultimate.
That is
and
why
ultimate.
I named it Penumbra and then Numbra. So go look it up, buddy.
Penultimate and ultimate.
Yes, comes before it.
Yeah. But that was an awesome time with lots of explosions. Kai will be back with us next week, and we will do awesome things, and she can hear how Krona definitely didn't leave her behind. But with that, let's go around, do our introductions, get the hell out of here, and go host a friend of ours. We'll start with the great Krona himself. Keith, who are you, where can we find you, and what are you up to?
I am Krona Stormspeaker of the Utaru tribes. Yeah, I am. That's who I play on television. I'm Keith. You can find me at Material Components on Twitch and Instagram, at mcomponents on Twitter. I also run a local Nashville after-school program called The Heroes Guild. You can find it at theheroesguild.com, teaching kids 6 to 16 tabletop role-playing games and positive heroic morality and nonviolent conflict resolution. And you can find out more about that at the Heroes Guild and see cute pictures of kids playing. And we've even got an NPR podcast of kids playing if you want to like hear it happen. It's pinned on our Twitter at mcomponents.
That's awesome.
It is delightfully produced, and yeah, you get to hear a bunch of kids, all who have lisps, playing playing tabletop role-playing games. It's great. So.
That's amazing.
Conveniently chosen.
Yeah, right. Let's jump right over to Sam. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I am Sam, aka Wizenfool, the Wizenfool on Twitter. I am going to be doing all sorts of role-playing games in the coming days. I'm going to be doing a Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game with Johnny. We don't have a confirmed date, but I think sometime early next. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that out.
If I remember correctly, we're doing a session 0 this month, and I think we're starting next month for the national.
July, I think, is when that's looking to start, and then I may or may not be doing a little something more with Mike and Johnny in the future as well. And
what?
This game was a blast. I feel like this game is like every session is like you guys setting me up for like some ridiculous action movie moment and me just being like, well, all right, then I guess this is what we're doing. Which is amazing. It's been great. So yeah, I got my cool guy rides a shield out of an explosion moment today. Taz is in a lot of pain, but I'm sure he'll get over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming out, guys. I had a blast.
Sweet. Speaking of doing things next season, Johnny, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Johnny. Actually, I am Stormchild, who is currently playing Krona in the Adventures of Krona, the hero of the bandit forts.
I don't want that show.
Spin off, please. Spin off.
This show's canceled. Season 2 is canceled.
All right, I am Johnny. I'm Video Store Cowboy everywhere except on Twitter, where I'm Vid Store Cowboy. I am all over the place this week. Some streaming on my channel, some streaming over or doing some Esper Genesis over on Arvin Elron's channel on Friday. On Saturday, I'm trying to do something again on my channel, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen. But on Sunday, I'm going to be over on Little Red Dot's channel playing Breakfast Cult, which sounds interesting and intriguing and kind of strange, and I'm looking forward to being at Dot's table because she's kind of crazy and cool. So that's where you can find me.
Sweet. With that, guys, I have a few announcements that I'll be making all week long. First is something that was touched on here. We're halfway through, a little bit over halfway through the season, so we already have next season planned out. Keith is coming on, and he's running Definitely Not She-Ra. Johnny is coming back on, and he's running Definitely Not Guardians of the Galaxy. And I am coming back on Thursdays, and I will be continuing with Men of Letters Season 2, which is going to be super awesome. That being said, this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I will be on Little Red Dot's channel as well. We are going to be playing a Cypher System game called Gobs of Gobs, where we are playing goblins, gobbling all over the place. And our June 12-hour charity stream is going to be the 29th of June. Stay tuned. We're also going to be doing a subathon. We're also going to be doing some other things that have been planned, and something new podcast. And with that, we're going to go host our friend and future home of A Song of Ice and Fire, AP, over at AP Gaming Reel, where he's playing one of my favorite games that he ever plays, which is where he just role plays with a bunch of his friends, and some dope artist comes on and draws the crazy dumb shit they do. So go check him out. It's an awesome show, awesome group of people. Give them all of your hot, sticky raid love. And I guess that's it from all of us to you guys. Bye-bye.